you are flying or driving to Colorado from out of town or out of the country and plan to start the Colorado Trail southbound, or as some folks call it, Denver to Durango, you might be planning to start at Waterton Canyon, the Indian Creek Trail, also known as the Dog-Friendly Point, or Roxborough State Park. Today, we're going to learn about hotels, transportation, lodging, and places to stock up on supplies before you hit the trail. Like many people, we live in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains within a 15-minute drive to Waterton Canyon and about a 25-minute drive to alternative Colorado Trail start points like the Indian Creek Trailhead and Roxborough State Park. The info and advice we are sharing today is not definitive, but is based on decades of living in the area and hiking Section 1 of the Colorado Trail quite a few times from all three of the major Segment 1 start points. So let's start with air travelers. If you take a look at this map, in the top right corner, you will see Denver International Airport and a line leading to Waterton Canyon Trailhead of the Colorado Trail, also known as Segment 1, from the airport all the way down to the lower left-hand side of the map. If you fly into Denver from either another town in the U.S. or from another country, I highly recommend giving yourself at least a day or two to get acclimated to both the dry climate here in the Front Range and to adjust to the altitude. As far as transportation goes, whether you're heading to lodging or going directly to the trailhead, you have several transportation options. A ride service like Lyft or Uber is going to be close to instant, and although you are traveling quite a few miles, a ride service like Lyft or Uber can get you directly to a hotel, store, post office, or trailhead, which is very convenient. There are also shuttle services available as well from the airport, and there are some folks who you can look up on the Colorado Trail Foundation's website that specialize in getting hikers to Waterton Canyon or other start points. Look for a link to the Colorado Trail Foundation's website in the description below. We also have public transportation here in the Denver metro area known as RTD, or Regional Transportation District. RTD has rail lines and buses to get you where you are going, and you can visit their website to get information on routes, times, and the cost of fares. This is probably the most economical option to get from Denver International Airport to lodging, or even to get relatively close to a trailhead. But I will say that taking RTD is very time consuming and will most likely require lots of stops and transfers. For instance, to get from Denver International Airport to a hotel or right to the Waterton Canyon Trailhead is normally anywhere from a 35 to 45 minute drive if traffic is good. When you take RTD, this can take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. So, just like any public transportation, it takes a bit longer, but it is very economical. RTD's website is very easy to navigate, and I will put a link to the site in the description below. RTD changes their routes and may or may not be able to get you within a reasonable walking distance to the Waterton Canyon Trailhead, but getting you close to lodging in the area will not be a problem. As I mentioned, if you fly into Denver from either another town in the U.S. or from another country, I highly recommend giving yourself at least a day or two to get acclimated to both the dry climate here in the Front Range and to adjust to the altitude. You also most likely did not fly with fuel, and perhaps you need to pick up some items once you arrive before heading out on the trail. If you are starting at Waterton Canyon, there are some areas with many amenities to help you get a strong start to your journey on the Colorado Trail. The first area that we are going to recommend is the Highway 285 in South Wadsworth area, due mostly to its proximity to an REI, hotels, grocery stores, and relatively quick access to the trailhead via a rideshare like Lyft or Uber, or even a shuttle. You can get around by foot in this area, maybe take a bus, but taking a Lyft or an Uber to the trailhead from here is probably going to be your best bet. REI, for those of you not familiar with the store, is an incredible outfitter that has everything you need for backpacking, from fantastic gear to shoes and cooking needs like stoves, fuel, and dehydrated food, not to mention extra goodies to put in your backpack to nibble on along the way. A lot of REI stores also rent gear, including sleeping bags, tents, bear canisters, and more. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to this particular REI in the description below, which will also give you the address if you need to share that with a shuttle driver or a ride service. This particular REI is a really good sized store. And also in this area, and super close to this REI, are grocery stores including Whole Foods and a Trader Joe's, just a few blocks away from the REI. And Trader Joe's is about a third of a mile away. There are also many, many restaurants, including one of our family favorites, which happens to be a little fast food restaurant called Good Times. River Otter, what do you think? Is Good Times any good?
Yes.
Do you like the burgers at Good Times?
Yes.
What else do you like at Good Times?
I like how they have an ice cream, a different ice cream flavor for each day.
So if we take a look at this map, you can see REI here down towards the bottom left-hand side. And if we go just north a bit, you'll see some hotels. And these hotels are 1.5 to 2 miles north of the REI. So let's take a look at these hotels. As you can see, I entered a date into Google of June 5th just to get an idea of how much lodging is a night for these hotels. For anyone traveling with pets, many of these hotels, like the La Quinta here, are dog friendly. Everything I see here is about $80 or more per night, with an average of about $140 per night. Colorado is a smoke-free lodging state, so smoking is not allowed in hotel rooms. I would do a Google map search of this area and book your hotel room based on reviews. I usually check TripAdvisor as well. There is a Fairfield Inn here, and they typically have a really good complimentary breakfast as well. Again, check those reviews and call the actual hotel with any questions that you might have. This is typically a bustling yet kind of quiet area. From your hotel, it is a 15 to 20 minute Lyft or Uber to the Waterton Canyon Trailhead. Now, you might be thinking, I would really like to go ahead and get acclimated to this super dry climate and a new altitude and maybe a little bit more of a scenic setting. And so what we're going to do is look at an area near C470 and Ken Carroll, which doesn't provide as many amenities like shops like REI, but is still getting you even closer to the Colorado Trailhead. This area is near Ken Carroll Road and C470, with the foothills just to the west. You can see those foothill mountains here. These hotels are on the newer side, and the Holiday Inn is definitely pet friendly. There are plenty of restaurants and grocery stores nearby. To get from this area to an REI or perhaps a Walmart to get fuel, you would have to take a shuttle or perhaps a rideshare like Lyft or Uber. If you need to go to REI or even a local Walmart to get fuel, you're going to want to call them and make sure they have what you're looking for and that it's in stock. REI almost always has fuel, but Walmart tends to run out of things quickly in the summer, and the Walmarts in this area are very popular among campers and other outdoor enthusiasts. It is a few miles to REI from this area, so like I said, you could take a bus or get an Uber or a Lyft. The only disadvantage to this area would be that there is no outfitter like REI within a reasonable walking distance. If you are flying or driving and starting from the Indian Creek Trail, also known as the dog-friendly start, there are a few things to know. Drivers, if you want to park at the campground lot, it is currently $7 per night to park there. This costs as opposed to renting a storage space or even a neighbor arrangement. And if you're not familiar with Neighbor, I'll drop their website in the description below as well. This is a kind of situation where you could park in someone's driveway or in one of their own empty lots. It might actually be very similar in cost, depending on how long you will be out on the trail. Unlike Waterton Canyon, you can camp along the trail here with several flat spots as close as 1 mile along this particular trail. If you take Waterton Canyon, you have to hike in about 6.5 miles before you can camp just past Lenny's Rest. But here at the Indian Creek Trailhead, you can also camp at the Indian Creek Campground, which does have a camp host during the summer months. It also has pit toilets and running water. There is an equestrian campground down the hill from the Indian Creek Campground and the parking lot, and this is where Trail 800, which intersects with the Colorado Trail, is located. This trailhead is not the only trailhead in the area, so please be aware of that. There is also a geocache that you can navigate to help assure you that you are at the correct trailhead. A link to that geocache is in the description. I do have T-Mobile and had 3 bars of service here, so if you have the geocaching app on your phone, that will get you there as well, and that's not too bad for T-Mobile. As far as hotels go for this particular trailhead, I would recommend the area near the outlet malls in Castle Rock. You can see I-25 and Meadows Parkway from here on the Google map. It is about 14 miles or 20 minutes by car to get from the hotels that I'm showing on this map to the Indian Creek Campground Trailhead. So if you take a Lyft or an Uber to the Indian Creek Trailhead area, know that there are dog-friendly hotels in this area, plenty of restaurants, a Whole Foods with the Sierra next door, and Sierra is a discount outfitter that has dehydrated meals, snacks like honey stingers and bars. And the last time I was at the Sierra, they had 2 different types of stove fuel. Make sure that you do call Sierra, the Columbia outlet, and or Walmart before making a trip to get that fuel to ensure that it is in stock. For those of you that are not flying into the area and are driving in instead, the Waterton Canyon lot can fill quickly during the summer, especially on weekends. So if you want to leave a vehicle there, just be aware that arriving after 9 a.m. and before 5 p.m. might mean a full lot. If you're driving and want to park or store your vehicle and take a ride share like Uber or Lyft, this is also possible. Like any service I am referencing in this video, I make no guarantees that this will work out well for you, but like an Airbnb, services like Neighbor, which I will include a link to below, offer some peace of mind knowing you actually have a place to keep your car when you're out on the trail. What if you fly or drive into Denver and just want to camp? No hotel or Airbnb for you. You just want to get out there? I get it. You have a few options. One of them is Chatfield State Park. You can reserve a site with or without electricity and water. If the park is full, call the ranger station and ask what your options are. They can help you get creative. Chatfield State Park has showers, laundry facilities, and running water. Loop D has more trees than any other loop. My family has tent camped and taken our little pop-up camper out here many times. You will have to pay for your site, and you might have to pay an entrance fee to park depending on how many nights you plan to stay if you're in your car. Next up, disperse camping on the trail itself. From the Waterton Canyon Trailhead, you will have to hike to at least Lenny's Rest before camping is allowed at all. It's about 6 miles from the trailhead to Lenny's Rest with a very gentle altitude gain. There will be plenty of water to filter, some bathrooms and other amenities before you choose your spot. The downside is that if you are tired before you start or haven't adjusted to the dry climate or altitude, this might not be the best option for you. So make the decision about what's right for you. Check out the video I'm linking in the description to see firsthand what the start of this hike would look like. If you want to do dispersed camping right away, you can also start from the Indian Creek Trailhead. And once you get about a mile in, you'll get close to Bear Creek. And right away, there are some nice flat spots to go ahead and set up your tent and camp for the night. Or maybe you want to set up a hammock and a little shelter over that for the night as well. Although Roxborough State Park does offer an alternative start point, if you aren't interested in going to the Indian Creek Trailhead, you could start from Roxborough State Park, and there is a route to get you on over to the Colorado Trail. Roxborough State Park does have running water, and it does have modern bathrooms, but there is no camping allowed, and there's no overnight parking allowed, and there are no dogs allowed at Roxborough State Park. It is a bit more of a drive if you are taking an Uber or a Lyft or a shuttle into this area, and also be aware that you will be asked to pay an entrance fee. Whatever vehicle you're in will be asked to pay an entrance fee once you enter the park, and then it's another mile or two before you get to the trailhead. So these are just some things to be aware of. If you're a local and you're section hiking, this might be a great option. We hope this video has given you plenty of information whether you're flying or driving to Colorado from out of town or out of the country, and plan to start the Colorado Trail southbound, Denver to Durango from Waterton Canyon, the Indian Creek Trailhead, or Roxborough State Park. We'll see you down the trail.